like to begin by sharing with you a little story from my own life of a ditch that I've been in and out of most of my adult life. You see, my father was a race car driver. And so when I was a little boy growing up in Reading, Pennsylvania, I spent most of my weekends on racetracks, half-mile dirt tracks, watching my dad drive race cars. He got very good, won a lot of races, and when I grew up, I wanted to be just like him. And one of my first dreams was of winning the Indianapolis 500 race. I really did. As a little boy, I wanted to win that race. But Dad's racing career was cut short when Mother decided we needed to leave Eastern Pennsylvania and get him away from that very dangerous sport. Because one of Mother's best friends had lost her husband in an automobile racing accident, and Mother did not want to become a young widow. So that took us to West Palm Beach in 1955. And Dad no longer went to races, and I no longer watched races on weekends. But my dials were already set in my heart, in my subconscious mind. After watching Dad for so long go fast, I knew what I wanted to do when I got a car. And I knew what kind of car I wanted it to be, a fast car. And so my trials as the son of a race car driver began in earnest when I was 16 years old and got my driver's license. It took 1 week to collect my first ticket. It was for running a stop sign. And I really didn't run the stop sign. I slowed down, looked both ways, and went through it. But the officer was not impressed with my story, and he gave me a ticket. The ticket cost $25, and it took me a week to pay for that, working as a bag boy at Winn-Dixie. So for about a year after that, I drove more responsibly. And then, a year later, I went off the wagon. A buddy of mine in high school and I both thought we had the fastest car. And there was only one way to find out. And so we picked a deserted stretch of Route 1 in Lake Park. It had 4 lanes, traffic light to get us started, and there were no other cars on the road, except for the police car, which we didn't see. So the light changed, we hit the gas, and the next thing there's blue lights in the rearview mirror. And the police officer pulled us over and he said, "Follow me." And we were scared to death because we had to follow him to the police station. And we thought we were going to be arrested. That ticket cost $50 and 2 weeks of hard labor at Winn-Dixie working it off. And you know, for about the next 30 or 35 years, I drove much more responsibly, with the exception of getting an occasional speeding ticket, which everybody accumulates, even if you're not the son or daughter of a race car driver. They're unavoidable. And then about 10 years ago, I had another encounter that let me know, with no uncertain terms, that I was the son of a race car driver. I was driving south on I-95 in Boynton Beach, 3 lanes each way. Speed limit was 55 at that time. And for some reason, all of the cars were going the speed limit. And so as I looked up ahead, I saw a police car at the head of this path of cars going the speed limit, and all the cars were bunched up behind him in 3 rows, just like the starting grid at the Indianapolis 500. And this was the race that I had dreamed of winning. So I very carefully threaded my way to the front row. I really did. This is a true story. I was on the pole position. And I maintained that position for about 3 or 4 minutes. Excruciatingly long minutes because everybody wanted to go. You know how it is on I-95. And as I looked in my rearview mirror, more cars were being backed up. And in my opinion, it was becoming a dangerous situation. And someone had to do something about it. Since I was on the pole position, that responsibility fell to me. And so, very carefully, I speeded up to about 57 or 58 miles an hour, pulled alongside of the police car, and then began to slowly ease ahead of him. Now, everybody knows you get some margin over the speed limit, at least 5 miles an hour, and sometimes 10. I was just taking advantage of that margin. So I got about 100 to 200 yards ahead of him, and then on come the blue lights. And he pulls me over, and he comes up to my window, and he looks at me very hard, and he said, "You know, there's only 3 reasons why you would have passed me. Number 1, you're in a hurry." And I said, and I was very respectful, "No, sir. Going to the Miami Marlins baseball game, it starts at 8 o'clock, and I really have plenty of time." And that was the truth. He said, "Well, then number 2, you've got a lot of money, and you don't care how you spend it." And my tone dropped even lower, more respectful, more humble, and said, "No, sir, that's not true." And he said, "Well, then number 3, you're stupid." I said, "Yes, sir, that's the one." So he laughed, and I laughed. He gave me a warning, and I went on to the baseball game. And that is the God's truth. That's a true story. But the ditch I was in, and still am in to some extent, is the setting of my mind as a little boy about the kind of cars to drive and how fast to drive them. And when something like that is set in us as a little child, it's going to stay unless it is dislodged by a higher truth. And in my case, that higher truth was multiple encounters with police officers with ticket books that can find me and bring me to my right mind. So with that, let's enter the teaching. Life works when you work with the law. Law means the body of rules and principles which govern not only the natural universe, but also the affairs of man.